at those things myself,
Almost
so
as
it's hard. It would be hard to see how many interactions you had just off of those, but
Yeah, I think we have a lot more interactions than we know.
Well, one time they had something similar at Herring Point, where they were having people take like pictures through this frame or whatever. And I don't know what they did with that, but that was kind of interesting. I mean, I think it's just different ways for people to interact with it, where they post it on Facebook or whatever.
Well, Janet and I were trying to figure out how many people looked at it for the report that we had.
Just make it up.
All right.
Well, we guesstimated how many people come to the park, and
Yeah.
How many nurses walk through on their lunch hour? and-
farmers market.
this was for the,
Oh, for the
Bounded.
and okay.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's what we got.
Do repeat visitors count? Because I walk through there every day. The dog's
well, you
seen
got to
it.
go to class.
I would say the number of visits. So if you visited it 4 times, that's 4 visits to me.
Right, right.
That's 4
Not
interactions
necessarily
with the
people, it's
piece.
visits.
All right, let's try it again.
We don't have to start from the beginning, do we?
Take it from the top. No, I'm not.
See who comes in.
Recording in progress.
Okay,
Yay.
okay.
So I will watch and see who comes in. So hopefully they're watching and trying to get back in. So let's go ahead.
Okay. So, let's see, where we are with the community public art meeting. It will be November 3rd from 7 to 8:30 at the Verdon Center. I believe we're getting the Schooner Room. Janet's been in contact with Mike, what's his last name, Patterson, in regard to payment, reservation and payment.
I did drop that check off to him yesterday.
Oh, great, thank you.
And he did give me some information on requirements for, I don't know if he shared that with you.
We talked about it on the phone, but I don't have anything
I
writing.
made some copies so that people had them, and you can get that on the advertising somehow.
Oh, good, okay. Does everybody want one of these? All right. Okay, so University of Delaware is requiring masks indoors at all times. So that's something that we will make the public aware of. There is free parking, and let's see. Okay, the title of the workshop is Public Art, What's It All About? I expect that we'll need a setup crew just to, I'm not sure if I'll talk to Michael, but we'll find out whether we need to set up chairs. Their AV people will set up microphones, projectors, if anybody has PowerPoint presentations, whatever we need in terms of AV. It will be over by 8:30, starts at 7, ends at 8:30, so I think we should be finished breaking down by 9:30. Our speakers we'll start it out with Cliff. He'll speak about the mission of the Public Art Committee and introduce the speakers. First will be Kate Dodd, who will speak about the role and function of public art. Second will be Rodney Robinson. He will speak about placemaking and process in public art and the use of public spaces. And that will be followed by a hopefully lively community discussion and critique of the 2021 installations. And we have really been going heavy on the PR and the marketing. Carol enlisted James Patterson from Cape Gazette to create an illustration for the ads and the posters, and it's terrific. It's just like perfectly sums up what's happening. It's great. Let's see, that's done. Cliff has purchased ad space in the Cape Gazette, and I think we've got 2 or 3
Said he was going to do 4 ads,
ads. Okay,
4 1/6 page ads,
1/6,
and we
okay.
do have money in our budget for that.
Okay, great. I've posted the event in every community calendar I can think of: Cape Gazette, Delaware State Arts Council, Rehoboth Art League, Chamber of Commerce, any other local and further afield arts organizations, and any, just event listings that the public might see. We're flooding social media, Facebook, Instagram, and other Facebook pages, group pages, local arts organization. What's the one in Rehoboth, Delaware? Collaborative, something?
Artist Cooperative.
Yeah, that one. I'm going to print off posters and probably flyers, and I've already talked to a number of vendors not vendors, but places that are willing to put poster in their window, Rehoboth Art League, a number of other places. And I didn't talk to Cliff about flyers, but when they had recently the Net Reel rally, we got a flyer in our door, and a lot of people, they had a huge crowd. So I think that might be something we would consider, maybe just within, the city.
Or even like a postcard type.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's something that's more, flowers to me get blown around.
Yeah, I
A
like-
postcard type thing, even if you do like a big one,
Yeah.
it's more of a, I don't know, I mean, it may cost a little more, but
Yeah.
you can leave them in art galleries and stuff like that
Right.
for people,
Okay, we make those for some of our shows, and you can do them on Canva pretty easily, and if you need any help with that, we order them all the time.
Okay.
And I've seen it come through in the newspapers and social media, so it's
Me too.
it's out there. It's
Okay,
out there.
great.
I love that one, the cartoon.
It's so
Isn't it
good.
great?
It's
Although I have to
perfect.
say, I have something to add to that on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, there you did. Yeah. I bet you
Thank
did.
you, you're welcome.
Anyway, so that's where we are progress-wise, and, we're just on a roll.
Refreshment.
Oh, that is something that I had on my original list. I've got to talk to Mike, they will provide some refreshment, like bottles of water, for a price. It might just be, I think we can bring in soft drinks and, like chips or snacks or something ourselves at a much more reasonable price. If we serve wine or beer, we do have to use their bartender, and it was the same. I think that's the same at any university.
Sure.
And it comes to like $25 or $50 a person. It was like really.
Person?
It was a high price. Maybe it's not that much. I don't.
Per bottle, maybe, or?
It was a lot, because you have to hire the bartender. So it depending on how many people you have, maybe it was like 15 to 20, that's what it was, 15 to
We
25.
can sort that out, I think,
Yeah,
later.
so I think we're probably not going to do that. We're just, so that's,
We'll all meet somewhere.
As part of the volunteer setup crew, what time do you anticipate we should be there? Or will you perhaps
let
not
me-
know before the next meeting?
let me talk to the guy at Verdon Center and see, is this part of the price? If they're going to set up for us, because
Yeah,
what we're
okay.
paying for, fine.
We're paying,
Yeah.
what, 300,
I think
400?
it's $395 total, yeah.
Okay.
Nancy, what's the capacity if it's an indoor thing?
I think he said the capacity in that room was 85.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good amount.
So,
Anything else?
no.
Sounds good. All right, let's go back to Heidi,
Yes.
the de-install.
He's out of the car.
How'd it go?
The de-install, we had way too few people, way too many rocks to move. It was smooth, but it just wasn't enough. And I don't think that, I would not ask the Developing Arts Collaborative to do that again. We need to have like a mover We could have played Handy Andy, the same amount of money, and had 8 guys there.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, Emmett had one thing he had to do, and so the moving, I mean, I feel like the workhorse was right here, so it was one of those things where it wasn't a good setup, so it won't happen again.
Well, we won't have another rock sculpture.
Yeah, but I have to say that now I look at all the sculptures with how much does it weigh and how are we gonna get it in here? Because that,
Tell me, I lifted a lot of those rocks.
yeah, I mean, those bottom ones were heavy. I mean, you know, it's just, you think about your health, you think about,
Yeah,
so.
Was that Denise? Did we hear Denise?
Yeah, we heard,
Hi, Denise.
that's me.
There you go.
yeah, so I just feel like next time it should, you know, even if it isn't the rocks, but it's something big, either we need art movers or we need plain old movers.
Yeah, it's a trade-off between, you know, your physical well-being and, you know, just the safety of the art and the humans.
Yes.
Yeah,
As
and
opposed to
even that
people
they
who
were
do that, yeah.
collaborative, like, they're young, but it doesn't matter how young you are if you're not trained to move large objects for that long. I mean,
Plus, they were sharp, too.
yeah, well, one.
I would worry about a
cut his foot.
liability issue.
Well,
Oh,
one
yeah.
kid cut his foot, and, you know, when we were undoing it, it came down and cut his foot, and I was like, do you need to go to the doctor? You know, that's what it came to. He wore flip-flops, you know. Also, we were not informed. There was a lack of information, too, because I went to my house and got gloves. I went to my, you know,
Oh, right, that should have been.
that should have been, and I wasn't there on the install day, so I wasn't aware of all the things. So Emmett was supposed to bring those, he didn't bring them. And then we should have been told exactly, I mean, I came in sneakers, but, you know, it's a beach town. He came in his flip-flops, and I didn't inform him otherwise. So there was a lack of information. It was, she wanted people for too long. You can't move rocks for that long. We needed 8 people for 1 hour or 2 hours, and instead of 3 people for 5 hours.
So that's something that we need to note on the install or destall. The
And she paid-
particulars and what is actually necessary to accomplish the project.
And if we need art movers, that's a different thing than needing movers, but even the movers need to be informed about the art in order to be able to move it safely and to
need
the
to know
point of
what
the
equipment
artist,
to
you
bring
know?
with-
I mean, by the end, I was throwing, you know, I was like, well, this rock's, I don't have a place for this rock, it's gotta go here, you know? And her note to us was they were moldy. Well, yeah, we were dealing with snakes, we were dealing with spiders, we were dealing with snakes, spiders, wasps, hornets.
it's gonna be outside?
Yeah, I mean, the snake was super happy there. I was like,
I
of
don't
course.
think she had any of these installed outside. I think they were all inside.
No, I agree. And so when she got it, she was probably like, oh, this is mold.
Well, I mean, she was also excited about the fact that the grass was going to grow around it and everything, so, well, I mean, that's what happened.
I mean, I miss it already. I go to the
Yeah.
park every day, and I was like, oh, I do miss it. But, you know, at the same time, I was like,
Okay,
so I would say the de-install was unsuccessful.
duly noted.
Yeah. I'd say that was unsuccessful.
All
It
right,
was successful, but unsuccessful.
great. Do we have a comment about the Dodd Project from anybody from
Me,
Zoom?
Denise.
Denise. I just have to say for her.
I just wanted to, I can't remember exactly how many people gave me feedback, but I would guess approximately 30. I only had one negative comment. But I do agree with what Carol said. The signs helped a lot, but I don't think it was easy to find before the signs were there. And if we're displaying something in public, I don't think they should really have to hunt hard to find it. I think it ought to be clearly visible or easily found, I guess is what I'm saying. That's just my personal comment.
Yeah, I think,
Well, more people would see it.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be, it was almost hidden. I mean,
yes,
that's sort
it
of,
was almost hidden, but I think it's wonderful that the group you talked about were there. I think it was greatly enjoyed, and I do think it was bright and fun, and a good thing for us to have done, and I think it was very generous of Kate Dodd to,
Yeah, I do too.
yeah.
Frankly, I thought it was going to be more closer to the farmer's market. In fact, when I
Me
was
too.
out there with the park commissioners and Cliff, we envisioned that you'd be able to see it on the other side of the pond through the trees, and I don't know whether we were just
You
had
can
the
in
wrong
places,
angle.
but there's places you can see it from across the
Yeah.
pond, but you have to be looking for
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
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 Anyway, so I think that's a very good point that we can think about for the next project. Okay, let's see if we can get back to the agenda. New business. I think we covered everything, all the old business. New business. Cliff has talked to a couple of businesses on Second Street, and he's got them to agree to use a portion of their window for some kind of art installation to be determined, probably small sculpture kinds of things. And I think that'll keep public art kind of in view, and for people in the community, they'll be, thinking about it during the winter, and then we may use one for a local artist, and then Cliff actually volunteered to let some of his stuff be displayed, and he's got all kinds of stuff that I'm sure people would like to see. But the group hasn't decided exactly what we're going to do, but we can do that later. Okay, and the stores are Biblion, and Henlopen Junction is a women's clothes store, and Biblion is that book place.
They have a great
Yeah, nice big
window.
windows too. Yeah.
I have a question. Is anybody, it's just that these are in storefronts and they're coming in, which I guess means they're smaller works. Will anything be for sale?
That I don't know. If we get a local artist, maybe. I don't know.
Well, even if it's not necessarily local, but I think, I know a ton of Philly artists that, are emerging artists or whatever, that I could
Would love
get
to have a-
images. But, and I could write up there,
Sure.
bring stuff down,
Uh-huh.
but I think they would be interested in selling their work. So does that
think that's something-
conflict with the idea of a public art commission, though? I don't know. I mean, I'm new.
We're providing, I don't know.
Everything has a price, right?
And maybe we
I
provide the info, and the artist can work with the public.
Contact these
You
artists,
pay-
but,
you
if
pay
you're in the same
bands to
situation.
do music art in the park, so I don't know. It's the difference between
It might be worth a discussion amongst the group, like with, maybe with Cliff's around, like, you said, what's the sort of the mission, what are do the bylaws cover it, that kind of thing.
Or maybe it's not for sale, obviously, during the course of when it's on exhibition, but afterwards, if somebody says, I would like to buy that, after it comes down, what's the ethics of that with the city? But,
I mean, there's a better outcome for it than the takedown, right?
Yeah, exactly, you take it. By all means.
everybody buy a rock,
Right,
Anybody want to rock?
a piece of
Sure,
rock.
that would simply be between the artist and the owner of the business.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't, as long as no money passes to PAC, I don't see that it.
There's no
being a
difference
problem.
between that and hearing a concert
And booking the band.
And then
and booking a
for your
band. What's the
wedding.
difference?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this I do feel like is, the artist, there'll have to be a transaction happening after the art is seen, but it will happen between the artist and the person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's something
And I
we can,
think it may be, because we're not working with a big budget here, especially for transportation,
No.
so it may be an extra incentive if they know that they can sell the works, or, it's just it's an,
That's a good point, rather than like you don't want to condition it, but it may
Well,
happen.
then they might be prepared to bring it down themselves rather than have you go and pick it up.
exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to make a condition that it can't sell.
right.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, if we're selling somebody's work in a gallery, we expect them to produce the work to us. I might have an agreement that says if it doesn't sell, I'll pay to send it back to you. But, it's their responsibility to get the work to us.
Okay, I think we can kind of sort that out when we get closer to the selection of,
I mean, if I can just digress for a moment, because you passed over the report by me on Art in Bloom activities, and which is, I don't have a problem with that, but...
no, I shouldn't be in new business if...
Yeah, because you happen to mention, two businesses that have agreed to have art in their windows, I think it's important that you should also know that Art in Bloom is working on getting trompe-l'oeil work on the walls of some businesses, the outside walls of some businesses.
Yeah, that's good.
And actually, Biblion is potentially one of those
Oh,
businesses.
right, because they have that big wall there.
Right.
Interesting.
So, there could be some sort of relationship there, potentially.
That's great. Do you want to continue with the rest of your report? I'm sorry that I do have my glasses on.
Sure. Well, as I said, that's an ongoing project for Art in Bloom, the trompe-l'oeil work. Also an ongoing project which some of you, know something about and others may not, but it's definitely out in the public domain, and that is the proposed Cape Spirit sculpture, which we're hoping to bring into Lewis. We're not ready to make a presentation to PAC for approval, but suffice to say, it's a major piece of art by a major Delaware sculptor who has public art in Sussex County and Newcastle County, but does not have a piece in Sussex County.
But in the process of looking at locations and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
And will that be a permanent piece or a...
It'll be a permanent piece. We will purchase it.
Nice.
And it's 20 feet tall, made out of marine-grade stainless steel. It's a contemporary piece which combines the nautical knot with the human form.
Nice. Sounds amazing.
Art in Bloom has been very fortunate that we have been able to get some money from the Delaware Capital Improvement Project bill. We actually don't have the money yet, but it is promised. And the receipt of the funds, basically the bill's language has been amended to include, but not limited to, spending the money on Cape Spirit and the Lewis Junction project, which is the train station at the back of the library. And that's on hold at the moment because Shaw Brothers are building it, but they're so busy at the moment that we don't think it's likely to happen until early 2022.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And that's it.
Thanks, Tony. Again, I apologize.
No worries.
It was all in caps, and I just went right by it. Okay, We did winter art exhibits. Karen, I hope you're still hanging on.
She is not, she's not on. She didn't come back on after I had to restart Zoom.
Well, did everybody get those pictures that Cliff sent?
Yes.
Comments about the, well, there was the trees, I call them trees, different colored trees, and then there was the green,
Ladder
looked
type?
like a lizard, or,
A lizard ladder?
I didn't like that.
I didn't either.
And then there was the, I think it was called blue steel or something like that,
Yeah.
which was the mangled sort of,
From Zoolander?
I don't know, but,
This one, like, it wasn't the,
no, I call them those are the trees.
Oh, those are the trees.
Those are the trees,
Okay.
and then
Collins.
I don't know which one's which.
the green ladder or whatever it was, I don't know what that's
That's the one
called.
they said they didn't like.
Yeah.
I personally like the blue steel or whatever it was called, where it was angled pieces of,
Yeah.
yes, that. And there were three of them.
What was that?
It's huge.
That green thing, it was creepy to me. It looked like parts
ladder?
Yeah,
parts
I'm
of a
not crazy
lizard
about
or
it.
something. I don't know what it was. It just looked, I mean,
They're all in the same vein, I mean, at least two of them are kind of in the same vein.
And then there's the halo.
The halo, oh, but that isn't an option, is it?
No, I think that was just for
That was just for us to look
for
at.
entertainment.
That would be a cool,
That's an
I would have gone
amazing
with that one in a minute. I mean, none of these have lit me up at this point.
Right.
But I
well,
don't
I mean,
feel like
that's why we're looking at these
Well,
things.
I don't, the one that, what'd you call them, the birds or something? The trees.
The trees?
I think that those would be interesting along the trail.
I think you need more than one.
Yes,
like
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
3 of those on the trail?
or 20 of those in the park? Oh, did I see that?
Not in the park.
No.
The more the better, really.
Yeah, I think, again, here's the placement issue. Where are they going to be viewed?
I just
Where's
think
the be-
one wouldn't do it.
No,
I agree.
no, but I think a series along the trail would be nice.
And the big steel ones, the rustic steel ones, those are not an option anymore, right? Yeah.
Good, 'cause people like those,
And then
sort of the honeycomb.
those round things, I think might be available in 2023.
Okay.
I think that's what.
But, I mean, at this point, we don't have like a presentation or anything to like really look at what we're,
No, I think Karin has,
is getting.
getting these things, getting us to look at things, and as we get closer, we'll, I think, define better what we're looking for. At least that's my sense.
Are we limited to just using what Karen's proposing, or?
No, not at all. I mean, last year, I showed a
Karen's
couple of
wonderful.
public art things that I go to Florida for a couple of months in the winter, and there was an artist that did these. It was
The big bubble things.
glass bubbles in like
Glass was wonderful.
stainless steel, and I mean, no, not
Yeah.
by all means. If you know of an artist or see something you think.
Okay.
And I proposed an artist from Wisconsin who
Okay.
had
Yeah.
made it out of recycled plastic bags.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a monumental piece, it was more of like you would happenstance on it.
Okay.
Right.
Which I do,
I thought would be cool, like throughout the parks. I thought that was neat.
and we could do that at any point, like it doesn't have to be an all summer thing. And the other thing is that they just walk, you give them away.
Are we feeling that we
I like that.
should try to put something where the rocks were and kind of use that space
It's a really nice,
permanently for revolving art?
Well, I will say that according to Rodney, who's the commissioner of that park, that's kind of a dead space, because when the tide comes up and when there's a high tide, it's totally wet. So half the time they can't grow grass there. So it seems like an ideal spot for sculpture, but I wouldn't say, this is my opinion, that we have to do one there every year. If we find one that doesn't fit the space that we really like, then maybe it needs to go, who knows, at the beach or along the trail.
This is one of the points I think that Rodney is going to be discussing. You know,
Yes.
do you find a space and then look for the art to fit the space, or do you find the art and then look for a space that it's appropriate for? And it's a good question.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So,
And I do
I
think
would-
people liked that space as far as they were like, oh, what's coming next year? When we were deinstalling, you know, there was a lot of conversation around
I
that.
think there's real advantage to having that, you know, there's tons of people that come here every year.
Right.
And they saw that sculpture and they're going to be looking for something
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I also don't think it has to be in that same spot every year, but I do think it's a good spot.
There's so much traffic there. It is a good space.
And it is cool juxtaposed with the ship, you know, like that contemporary thing.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah, I think that worked out well,
I do too.
definitely.
I think so. Are we looking at any more murals for the future?
Not at the present time, we certainly can,
Well, and I got an email or text from Kyle that he wanted to come and redo the pink.
oh,
And I told him he can. But
That'd be
we
great.
weren't asking him to do it, and I didn't say this to him, but I didn't know if we were thinking of doing something else there, because I know it was like an 18-month to 2-year thing. But he saw an image somewhere, and he was like, oh, the pink. And I was like, pink's hard color.
Well, now I forget how we did it last time. Did we rent a lift or did he use the bucket truck?
Well, he
The bucket?
said, if BPW had a bucket truck, that would make it way easier,
Yeah.
but to rent, it wouldn't make sense to fix it with
Yeah,
that.
that's what I mean.
He's like, it'd be fine. And so my husband has the ladders, and he
Okay.
said that would be okay. And I was like,
Okay.
well, if you were coming down this way, by all means. And he's had so many jobs from that job.
oh, really?
Yes, he's doing stuff for Grandpa Max, he's doing stuff for Hari, he's doing stuff for House, he did stuff for Soulfire in 2 different locations. I mean, he has gotten like probably 5 or 6 jobs
That's
from
really
that
wonderful.
original job,
That's
which is so cool.
Make sure other artists know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will attract them.
I mean, he
Also for less
really
money.
hustles, you know,
Yeah.
but it's been awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. He did a T-shirt for Hari,
Oh, that's
so
neat.
it's really cool.
That's
I mean, I think
great.
that's why he was so willing to come and, I mean, I didn't even ask him. I was bummed the pink was gone, but
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
offered. So we'll see. I mean, I told him, you know, only if
great.
it works with your schedule, but.
So are you saying that he would do that for free?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he would come and, he
Yeah.
just wanted to do it. He just, you know,
He
didn't
wants his
like
art
it.
to look good.
Yeah, and I mean, Paul said he could, Paul and I think Cliff has one too, so
Yeah.
they would lend him the things and the ladders, and then, yeah, he said he would do it for free.
Good.
Really nice of him.
Do we have any more progress on the bike things?
No, I have not focused on that, but I will. That is on the front of my list. I need to get some measurements, that's my next one.
Okay.
But I am excited about that. I think I found a local person to do it rather than Philly, so that, again, moving it won't be as problematic. And also, I'd rather use a local person, too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Any other comments on the art that was presented that Cliff sent us? Because we're just about the end of our agenda.
I guess the one thing, are there costings that are being set along with those two? I'm sorry, I missed it. I mean,
I think Cliff probably has some of that information, or Karin.
Well, Karin probably knows a little bit of our budget, too,
Yeah.
so she kind of keeps it within.
she's keeping that in mind.
Yeah, she
Okay.
does, yeah. Yeah, I think she does. Yeah, I mean, if there's something that's gonna be like $75,000, I mean, she knows what
Yeah, sure.
we're able to pay for the rocks, are unbounded.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the Furin project that we were trying for, and,
Right,
or we
exactly.
did, but then didn't
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll continue to look for,
So the next time we'll have probably a presentation, or do you think we need to, like, are we moving in that direction, or?
well, I think maybe we'll get more art from her, and then sort of look at what we looked at and say, hey, well, we already did have one poll where we said, hey, we don't like this, we don't. So my sense is we'll do that again and then narrow it down to,
I think if we can try and get the pictures earlier so that we can put them on the agenda so that the public can see them and then they might want to come and listen and hear the
Right,
discussion.
exactly.
And comments themselves. So I think we really have to start to lean in that direction and be forward thinking and get that all on the agenda.
Everything needs to be a week ahead of time.
Yeah, that's great, yeah. So I made a note for myself to talk to Cliff about that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
He calls me the Tsarina of protocol. He'll take it and stride.
We need you.
I have a question about protocol. The emails, are we allowed to answer the emails?
You
Like,
really shouldn't be, because you're then giving your opinion outside of the public's purview.
okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
group email.
but to Nancy's example, where if she finds something tomorrow that's interesting, she could send that to the group and say, here's something I found, please don't respond to the group.
Okay, that's what I was like, I think that we're not, but we can respond back to one person?
You could, take them offline, or you could call up Nancy and say, hey, I really like that.
Okay.
Or hey, I know this person,
Or
that
I
kind
could
of thing.
send
but-
something to Heidi and
Yeah.
say, hey, what do you think? I found
Exactly.
this.
Okay.
Should I send
So
it?
long as we don't have a quorum.
As long as there's not a quorum.
Quorum.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And the dialogue back and forth in email.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be
When
clear.
I send stuff out to the Parks and Rec Commission, I always say, do not respond all.
And some people put it right in the subject line too,
Yeah.
like, for your information, please don't respond, all that way, it's right there, Kinda. But yeah, I mean, you kind of do need to send things around to keep the
Yeah.
workflow going. It's just a matter of, like I said, developing an opinion outside of the public's eyes is kind of the whole idea.
Okay, that's what, I just needed clarity on that. Thank you.
Anything else that we need to go over?
The only thing I just wanted to let the group know is that Carol and I met to do the preliminary work on the grant from the Delaware Division of the Arts
Great.
for Unbounded Uninstallation.
Yeah.
So we're on track. It's not due until October 10th, so we'll get that in, but that was discussed at the last meeting, so I just
Great.
wanted to give you an update.
Okay, do I hear?
I'm gonna send you, do I send you the receipt for the sign props that we made, that we had made?
Yes.
Okay, I'll send those to you.
Yep.
And did everybody like those sign props things? I
Yes,
liked
they
them.
Yeah,
were
that's
great.
a lot.
They were great. Perfect.
And we can reuse them.
That's really nice.
You want me to move to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay. We adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
I guess, did everybody get Cliff's
We didn't.
Sound of Music?
Is that in
Yes.
public?
I can't unsee that.
Adorable.
Yes, a little creepy. All right. Thank you,
Are
Denise.
there any public individuals out there want to talk?
Oh,
I don't think so.
Too late. My job is already shut them down.
So all these emerging artists that you were talking about in Philadelphia, are you just talking about sculptors?
Did you want the extras? If not,
oh yeah, I'll take the extras.